Welcome Pokemon fans to a brand new video. I'm Doliwhop and today we're going to be revisiting a topic where many have tread before. Now if there's one thing I love, it is what if videos, especially based around Pokemon. What if Ash didn't get Pikachu? What if Brock and Misty never traveled with Ash? What if Pikachu actually evolved? But one of the most abundant what ifs out there is, what if Ash had a different team in each region? This topic has been done to death, and while I'm sure you'd all enjoy just the same, this team change video is going to be a different version than you are used to. It's easy to pick out the favorites of Ash's teams and leave out the less desirable Pokemon. However, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be redoing Ash's teams, but with a caveat. I can't use any Pokemon Ash has caught before. That means no Charizard, no Infernape, no Greninja, none of them. The only exception for this rule is Pikachu, as he is Ash's starter, and we don't need to establish a new starter for each region. I'll be laying this out, giving my notes about what I think his Pokemon will be like, how he encounters them, movesets based on the generation they're in, and generally how they would fit into the overall anime. I'll only be sticking to a main team of 6, as those are the most important Pokemon. However, I'll throw in some of the honorable mentions that I considered while doing this. Today we'll be going over Kanto, Johto, and Hoenn. Let's get started. We start off in Ash's home region of Kanto. For his first teammate, we have the spaghetti monster that is Tangela. Out of all the remaining grass types in Kanto, I think Tangela fits Ash the best. He's goofy and weird, but could be a competent battler when he gets focused. Because of the Tangela Island south of Pallet Town in the game, I imagine that Tangela saw Ash in Pallet Town when he first got Pikachu. He'd end up following Ash all the way to Pewter City, where he'll be caught after Ash gets Brock's badge. I know it would make sense to have a grass type before the rock gym, but it's Ash, and this way Ash gets to do the sprinkler trick. By the way, in this alternate world, instead of a Butterfree, Ash will have caught a Beedrill as his first Pokemon that will eventually leave the party. I know he technically caught one, but come on. It doesn't really count. Plus, bye-bye Beedrill sounds kind of funny. For moves, Tangela's going to be rocking Vine Whip, Bind, Sleep Powder, and Poison Powder. Just as a side note, these aren't the ideal movesets for these Pokemon, but what I think the anime would give them if they were real. With a Pokemon underneath his belt, Ash is going to continue his travels until he reaches Vermilion City, where he'll meet his next catch in Farfetch'd. I know he had a Galarian Farfetch, but they're different. Don't at me. I don't care. Now I know what you're thinking. Ooh, another goofy mon for Ash's team. Au contraire. In this world, Farfetch is going to be closer to an honorable samurai than a goofball bird with a stick. I think it mixes up what people would expect. His leek will act as a sword, and he'll be someone who's itching to fight strong foes. I think Ash would encounter him after hearing of a strong Pokemon defeating all the trainers who challenge it. He'll want to catch it, end up losing, probably have Team Rocket shenanigans, save it, and fight it once more only to win and add it to his team. Farfetch'd would have the moves Peck, Slash, Whirlwind, and Fury Attack. On the way to Celadon, Ash and friends will have a strange encounter in a town involving a hypno hypnotizing some kids. It's weird. We're not going to go into it. However, there a nurse droid tries to hand over a Psyduck to Brock, only for it to go over and get caught by Ash. Yes, for Ash's next pick, it's going to be Misty's Psyduck. Only in this timeline, it's going to evolve into a Golduck. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Why would I take Psyduck away from Misty? Well, if this video does well, I plan to do a companion video showing off what their teams in this alternate world would be, so maybe you'll find out then. Mostly, however, I think Psyduck is a good fit for Ash's team, at least in this world. He brings his own comedy that is different from Tangela's and forces Ash to start learning more about training early on. I mean, a Psyduck that can only really fight when it gets a headache and can't swim, that's going to be a big hurdle for Ash to overcome. I imagine Ash struggles a lot with Psyduck early on, but over time he manages to help bring out his potential. This will culminate in the Fossil episode where Aerodactyl is unearthed and attacks Ash. Psyduck, seeing his trainer in trouble, will evolve into a powerful Golduck and make full use of his new power. After evolving, I imagine Golduck has a more cool, calm, and collected type personality. He still has his goofy moments, but he has some maturity to him now. His moves will be Confusion, Disable, Hydro Pump, and Fury Swipes. Once Ash and the gang reach Fuchsia, they decide to head into the Safari Zone, where they definitely won't get shot. The Tauros herd is nowhere in sight, but what is there is a Rhyhorn. A Rhyhorn that is going to evolve into a strong Rhydon for Ash. I think Ash having the first Pokemon ever created is fitting as the protagonist. Plus, it gives his team some much needed muscle and bulk. Look, I love what I gave him, but none of them are the tankiest guys. I imagine Rhydon starts off slow and lazy. I can see it even being the reason he lost the Kanto League. It didn't wake up and wouldn't fight, so Ash was disqualified. However, over time, it becomes stronger and much more willing to listen. Rhydon will have the moves Horn Drill, Takedown, Fissure, and Rock Slide. Now we've come to Ash's Charizard replacement, his ace of Kanto. The obvious choice is Arcanine. However, Gary has an Arcanine as one of his main battlers, and I don't want to double up. The next obvious choice would be Ninetales to mirror Gary's Arcanine. However, I don't think it fulfills the role that's needed. For this Pokemon, it's not about being the fire type on Ash's team, but fulfilling that role that Charizard had. In that instance, I've gone with Magmar. I don't have an exact idea where Ash would catch him, but he would have a similar story to Charizard. Rather than being abandoned, I think Ash would catch this Magmar, but it was too strong for him to control. It thought he was weak and wouldn't listen to him. He'll be temperamental and only fight if he thinks the opponent is strong enough, similar to Charizard. I think Ash would finally get through to him though when he fights Blaine, where we'll have an epic Magmar versus Magmar showdown. That's when he becomes one of Ash's best and his official ace of Kanto. Magmar would know the moves Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Fire Punch, and Smog. Honorable mentions are a Poliwrath, which is a nod to Red in Pokemon Adventures, and it would act as a mirror to Misty's Politoed. There's Almstar, which Ash could have found as a fossil and gotten it restored, showing off the fossil mechanic. And lastly is Togepi. Yeah, I thought Ash getting Togepi as a 7th member might have been fun to teach him responsibility and about baby Pokemon, but after Psyduck, I couldn't take another Pokemon away from Misty. I'd feel bad. Kanto's finally done, and now it's off to Johto. Starting off, we're going to go with the delightful dimwit that is Quagsire. Okay, come on. I think we all know that Quagsire fits Ash's vibe to a T. Every good team needs a goofball, and Quagsire would be it. Ash would beat him early on when he arrives in Johto as a Wooper instead of Chikorita. He'd evolve in the Whirl Islands during the Whirl Island Cup, showing off his newfound power. Ash would still lose the World Cup, though. Quagsire would know the moves Water Gun, Mist, Earthquake, and Ice Beam. Next up, we have Espeon. Again, this is an obvious choice and one fans have wanted for years. Getting an Espeon would mirror Red's and be a Pokemon that has a behavior and look that isn't completely what Ash is used to. Ash would probably encounter Bill in this world, be given an Eevee for helping him out, and then Eevee would evolve into Espeon when facing off against Chuck's Machoke. I know it seems weird for someone to throw a normal type Eevee at a fighting gym, but come on, it's Ash Ketchum. Espeon would probably be a Pokemon that always wants Ash's attention, getting annoyed when other Pokemon take it away. I can imagine a funny gag where it uses its Psychic to forcibly bring Ash over or throw other Pokemon away. Espeon would know the moves Psybeam, Swift, Quick Attack, and Psychic. Next up, we have an odd choice on the scene, and that is Misdreavus. Ash hasn't been one for ghost types, with the only one he's ever officially caught being Gengar. However, with Gengar, I think we've seen that in Ash's hands, these guys can be powerful forces. Ash would encounter Misdreavus before Morty's gym in the Burn Tower. It would probably scare Ash, absorbing his fear as nutrients. Read the Pokedex if that seems weird to you. That would be a running gag for it. It will have the moves Shadow Ball, Double Team, Psybeam, and Confuse Ray. Remember that extreme Pokemon race that Ash entered and won a Phanpy egg from? Well, I'm having him do the same, except instead of Phanpy, he's going to end up with a Tyrogue, which will later evolve into a strong Hitmontop. I definitely wanted to still have Ash get an egg to show off Gen 2's new breeding mechanic, so I figured this was the best way. Tyrogue is not only a new baby Pokemon, but it has a weird method of evolution. It would be fun for Ash to think it will evolve into a Hitmonchan or a Hitmonlee, only for it to evolve into Hitmontop. Hitmontop's going to be an impatient and restless baby when it's first hatched, but under Ash's tutelage will evolve into a strong and capable fighter. It's a Pokemon that fits Ash like a glove due to both of them loving to fight new and strong opponents. Hitmontop will know the moves Rolling Kick, Rapid Spin, Triple Kick, and Counter. Lastly, we get to what I consider the most controversial pick of the Johto team. For Ash's final Pokemon, we have Houndoom. I know it doesn't seem like an Ashmon, but let me explain. I wanted to give Ash a fire type, and this one seemed like the best bet. I know we have Macargo, but it doesn't really fit Ash in my opinion. Houndoom seems like a harder fit, but I think you can make it work a lot easier. One of the hard parts of this video is I have a limited pool of Pokemon to draw from. Not only can I not use anything Ash has caught, which he catches more than you think, but I'm trying to include Pokemon with different personalities and ones that his rivals haven't caught, and they have to be a part of the region he's in. Harrison has a Houndoom, I know, but who really cares about Harrison? He's a last-minute rival. He has Blaziken as well, so he doesn't even need both fire types. Just get rid of Houndoom on his team. Who cares? Maybe I'll do a rivals video now. Actually, that might be interesting. All right, mark that down for later. Also to introduce another new thing from Gen 2, which is the Dark type. I think Ash will catch this Houndoom as a Houndour after it gets thrown out by its pack for being too weak. It won't really like him at first, but after he helps it get healed up and defends it against its former pack, it will truly be a loyal dog to Ash. Ash could probably catch the thing before facing off against Bugsy, which gives him a fire type for that gym and a dark type for Morty's. Houndoom's going to know the moves Flamethrower, Bite, Roar, and Smog. Honorable mentions for this region include Ledian and Sneasel. Ledian would have been a weak bug that Ash would have trained to show off its true strength and punching power. Sneasel would have been just a different way to introduce the dark type. Finally, we're at Hoenn. This region was one of the easiest in my opinion. I already knew what Ash's first Pokemon was going to be right off the bat. We're starting off with Breloom. Ash is going to catch a Shroomish right before fighting Roxanne, and unlike Trico, this guy's actually going to know a Grass-type move and Absorb, which will make that battle a lot easier. Though despite still having a Grass-type move, I'm still going to have Ash do an episode where he teaches Shroomish to use Bullet Seed like he did with Trico, as Hoenn was the region where Ash really started to teach his Pokemon moves. Shroomish will evolve into the fast and speedy Breloom, and I can even see it having a rivalry with Maze Torchic. It might even inspire Torchic to evolve quicker than it did in the anime. Obviously, I'm inspired in this situation by the actual episode where Torchic evolved to fight off Wild Breloom. Breloom's going to have the moves Bullet Seed, Mega Drain, Sky Uppercut, and Dynamic Punch. Next is the easiest choice of my entire life. Since Ash didn't catch every starter in the region for once, his new ace and Sceptile replacement is going to be Swampert. Like I said, this was the easiest choice. I already thought Ash should have gotten a Mudkip anyways. No hate to Corphish. I gained a newfound appreciation for him when I rewatched the show recently, but I thought Mudkip was wasted with Brock, who had a better dynamic with Corphish anyways. You could simply take the episode where Brock first met Mudkip at the Mudkip Swamp Island and insert in place of Trico's little tree episode. Rather than Brock bonding with Mudkip, you just have Ash do it. Mudkip would start off kinda dull a la Quagsire, but grow into his own over Hoenn. It'll be a real protective Pokemon who's always looking out for everyone else. A real hero complex, if you will. I see it even evolving before the Hoenn League, unlike Sceptile. Moves-wise, Swampert would have Mudshot, Muddy Water, Takedown, and Water Gun. That entire Mudkip episode took place on Dewford, so that's not the only Pokemon Ash is going to catch there. Inside the Dewford Cave, Ash is going to end up catching a Sableye. Sableye is a little gremlin that I think would totally vibe with Ash's team. It has that speedy battle style that Ash favors with a lot of his Pokemon, but with the trickery aspects of a Ghost and Dark type. I see that Sableye will be a sort of glutton on Ash's team, constantly trying to find rare gems to eat. I know it's easy to say he would be the tricky prankster, but I think it's important to have some diversity in the personalities of Ash's team. I don't want him just to be mischievous, but on the Hoenn team. Sableye will know the moves Shadow Ball, Feint Attack, Fury Swipes, and Nightshade. Every Ash team needs a good fire type, and if not Torkoal, then who better than Camerupt? Again, we're limited on options, but I can see it working. Torkoal and Camerupt are both slow and immobile battlers. You could probably have Ash struggle to fight with Camerupt early on when it's a Numel due to how immobile it was compared to other Pokemon he's caught before. Basically, the Turtwig to Grottle storyline, minus the being a speedy Turtwig part. Camerupt would probably be a lazy Pokemon that enjoys its downtime and naps, hating to get woken up. It would have a temper to it, easily getting annoyed by the other Pokemon and its back erupting into flames when it got angry. Camerupt would know the moves Magnitude, Eruption, Flamethrower, and Rock Tomb. Now we come to the final teammate. Alright, bear with me folks. For Ash's final Pokemon on the Hoenn team, we have Salamence. Why Salamence? Well, for one, I think it would have the best overarching narrative of Ash's Hoenn team and have a personality that fits the team really well. In an early episode of the Hoenn anime, Ash and the gang find a Bagon trying to fly. Now, in the episode, the Bagon belonged to a trainer, but I thought that would be the perfect moment for Ash to catch one. It would have a gag of landing on Ash or others' heads in an attempt to fly throughout the series. Think of the bite gag that some of Ash's Pokemon have, only instead of that, it's headbutting. At first, it would be kind of crazy and childish, before evolving to a Shelgon later on and kind of mellowing out. It would remain that way until finally evolving in the Battle Frontier. I think Ash training up this Bagon with the express goal of getting it to its final form would be nice, and you could have the two bond a lot over it. Ash has never been one to focus on getting his Pokemon to evolve, so I think it would be interesting to see Ash with that as his main goal for a Pokemon. And with the team I've currently crafted, I think its personality would fit well. You would have the Protector Swampert, the Battle-Obsessed Breloom, the Glutton Sableye, and the Lazy Camerupt. I think Salamence would bring that crazy fun energy to the team that it currently lacks. Plus, it would be funny to have Swampert be the one always trying to keep Bagon from getting in trouble, while Sableye was always encouraging more of its bad habits. For moves, Salamence would know Headbutt, Dragon Claw, Dragon Breath, and Flamethrower. This is the part where we get to the honorable mentions, and I only have one. It's Flygon. Yeah, I know everyone wanted Ash to have one, and you could easily have it in place of Salamence. However, one of the goals for this list was not creating the same teams you see in every other video. That's why I have the no Pokemon Ash has caught before rule, to force me to really think about what I would include here. I have some exceptions, like Quagsire and Espeon, but some of those are choices because I don't really have any Pokemon that I think fits. Some of the Pokemon that might fit belong better with a companion or Team Rocket or a rival, and others would be cool, but they don't really fit Ash. Plus, Gen 2's Pokemon pool is so shallow, so there's really not a lot of options. Now, despite what I said, I'm not trying to be different for the sake of being different. I don't just randomly give out powerful Pokemon to Ash to make him stronger, but I genuinely believe Salamence would be a better pick and give Ash a cool new story to follow with his Pokemon. If you think Flygon works better, more power to you. Ignore Salamence and just pretend I said Flygon. You could virtually insert it in place of Salamence for the story I've created, but I still think Salamence works better. Alright, bonus Battle Frontier segment. This doesn't introduce new Pokemon, but if I'm writing out a hypothetical world, might as well tell you what Pokemon I think Ash would use in his 7 battles. And seeing as I make the rules, since this is a new region and not Hoenn, Ash will be rotating all of his Pokemon. Because why use the same 6 when you have almost 2 full teams of powerful Pokemon back at the ranch? Ash vs. Noland. Ash would obviously use Magmar versus Articuno. Magmar would learn Overheat and use it to win. I know he doesn't learn it until Gen 4, but we'll call it set up for the next region. Ash vs. Greta. The first Pokemon Ash would use is Sableye, because, come on, all she uses is fighting types. Next, since I view him as my Snorlax parallel in this scenario, Ash would bring back Rhydon to clean this up. Ash vs. Tucker. Ash would want to mirror Tucker's combo of a fast and speedy Pokemon and a defensive tanky Pokemon, so he'd bring over Quagsire and Hitmontop to this ring. Since they're from the same team, they'll have great chemistry with each other. Ash vs. Lucy. Okay, there's nothing really special about this battle, so the choices aren't really that deep. Since I haven't used them yet, let's throw Swampert and Camerupt in. Ash vs. Spencer. Here's where I can have some fun. Since the battlefield is a massive jungle, Ash is going to choose Pokemon to help him in that regard. I'm going with Farfetch'd, Breloom, and Salamence. And this is going to be the point in the story where Ash's Shelgon evolves into Salamence and finally flies. Ash vs. Annabelle. Annabelle's Psychic team is going to get rattled by the Johto trio of Misdreavus, Espeon, and Houndoom. I can see either Espeon or Houndoom fighting Annabelle's own Espeon for the final showdown. Finally, we get to Ash vs. Brandon. All we care about is the final battle, but for the battle versus Regirock and Registeel, let's say Possessed Ash used Swampert for Regirock and Registeel beat Camerupt up. To keep it simple. This is the big match we've all been waiting for. If you paid any attention, you'll notice I've managed to use every one of Ash's Pokemon in these battles. That's intentional. I wanted them all to get their own time in the spotlight because we don't really get that a lot in the anime. For this battle, Ash is going to grab his core team of Tangela, Golduck, Magmar, and Pikachu. However, there's going to be a small change. Ash will go off to bond with his team again, and we get to see that nice episode. When he returns to fight, though, everyone's shocked when instead of Tangela, a Tangrowth appears. Yes, Ash's Tangela will evolve during the training by learning Ancient Power. I thought since this was the final fight, it would be the best one to debut a Gen 4 Pokemon, similar to Harrison and Blaziken. Ash has a few other Pokemon that have Gen 4 evolutions, but Tangela was the only one that evolved with no item, so I thought it would work best. And with a Tangrowth by his side, Ash's team is going to have a much easier time, especially because most of his team are fully evolved. Pikachu still beats Red Eyes, and ba-boom, we're done with the Battle Frontier. And that's the first 3 regions down. I only did the first 3 this time because I had a lot of details for them. Doing every region Ash has been to would make this video way too long, and I want to give the regions the proper explanations rather than just speed through it. Plus, I wanted to get a video out quick for once, so sue me. Let me know what you thought of my choices and story ideas down below. Did I do well, or was I off the mark with some of these choices? The teams are only going to get weirder and harder to make from here, so look forward to that. Next time, we're going to dive into the remaining regions. If you like this video, let me know. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video. See you later.